On the 3rd and 4th of June 1989, Chinese troops opened fire in Beijing. Students, workers, and ordinary citizens were killed. But inside China, this massacre has been pushed out of public memory. Official language softened it into the political turmoil between spring and summer of 1989. And online, June 4th is not merely sensitive. Public discussion is banned. Search terms are blocked. So what exactly happened that the Chinese Communist Party still cannot allow people to remember the June 4th Tiananmen Massacre?
Even that name needs to be unpacked. The June 4th Tiananmen Massacre sounds like one day, one location, one contained event. The protests had been building for weeks. June 4th is not when the movement began. It is when the Communist Party chose force. The crackdown began on the night of June 3rd and continued into the morning of June 4th. And Tiananmen Square became the shorthand because it was the symbolic center of the protests. But the massacre was not confined to the square. As troops moved into Beijing, people were shot on the streets, along the roads, and around the city.
So even the common name makes it sound smaller and cleaner than it was.
Exactly. China officially acknowledged only 241 deaths, including civilians, soldiers, and armed police. Many outside estimates were far higher. The Chinese Red Cross figure reported at the time was around 2,600 to 2,700. The state used the army and tanks to crush its own citizens across Beijing. And when people hear tanks, one image comes back immediately.
Tank Man? The world saw the image Beijing could never fully erase. One unidentified man, white shirt, shopping bags in his hands, standing alone in front of a column of tanks. And his country erased him so completely that we still do not even know his name. Those citizens were later dressed up as turmoil, rioters, or foreign-influenced elements, because apparently dead citizens are easier to manage when you rename them first.
That is the trick. Strip away the official language. And the story is not complicated. They were just students, workers, and ordinary citizens who wished for a better country. For a brief moment, Chinese people acted like the country belonged to them, not only to the party. There is a famous clip from 1989. A young man is cycling toward Tiananmen Square. A reporter asks where he is going.
Going to march, Tiananmen Square. Why? I think this is my duty.
That sentence is more dangerous to the Communist Party than a slogan.
Because it is patriotic in a way the party cannot control. The protesters were not originally marching under one simple demand to overthrow the Communist Party. That is the cheap version Beijing wants people to believe. Their actual demands were much harder for the party to smear: fight corruption, allow freer speech, stop censorship, open dialogue with the government, and make leaders accountable. Some protesters wanted democracy more clearly. Others wanted reform inside the system. It was broad and very human. Near the end of May 1989, art students built a huge white statue in Tiananmen Square. A woman holding a torch, staring toward the portrait of Mao. That was the goddess of democracy. Then the army came in and destroyed her. The party could tolerate a portrait of Mao watching over the square. It could not tolerate a statue that suggested the people might want something else.
So the party treated anyone who could see the rot inside the system as a real threat, even if they were just students.
But students is the word governments love because it sounds like a naive group, an easily manipulated crowd. The moment you give one of them a name, the propaganda starts to fall apart. Take Jiang Jielian. He was 17. He had just passed his birthday. His parents tried to stop him from going out that night. He was worried about what might happen to the students in the square, so he left anyway. He was shot near Muxidi, a western Beijing area on the route toward Tiananmen, and one of the places where the army's advance turned especially bloody.
His death would haunt the family forever.
Yes, but the Communist Party hurt them again after he died. It was not enough that their son was shot. The family was also denied the basic dignity of open mourning. Commemoration was restricted. Public remembrance was treated as political trouble. Even grief had to pass through the party's permission system. That is why his mother, Jiang Jielian, later became one of the founders of the Tiananmen Mothers, a group of victims' relatives who did the job the state refused to do: collect names, preserve testimony, demand truth, accountability, compensation, and the right to mourn. And that is why the party has been having conflicts with the families. A number can be argued away. A dead son with a name, a face, and a mother still demanding answers cannot.
Have the Tiananmen Mothers achieved their goal?
No, the Tiananmen Mothers did not win justice in the official sense. The Chinese government has not apologized, has not released a full list of the dead, and has not accepted responsibility. Instead, it gave them surveillance. Jiang Jielian, now nearly 90, is reportedly in declining health and under strict government monitoring. Her husband died in 2015, like many other parents, without seeing justice for their son.
And it was not only the dead. The injured were also forced into silence.
Fang Zheng is one of the clearest examples. He was a student and an athlete. During the crackdown, he was run over by a tank and lost both legs. Later, according to his own account and biographies, authorities pressured him to sign a statement saying it was just an ordinary road accident. He refused. And because he refused, he paid for it. The punishment was not subtle. He was denied his college degree. He was warned not to speak to foreign media. Even after he broke records as a disabled athlete, the authorities blocked him from competing internationally and later from competing further inside China. The party could not undo what happened to his body, so it punished him for refusing to let them rewrite how it happened.
I hope he is living a better life now than the Tiananmen Mothers.
In a way, yes. He was repeatedly denied the right to travel overseas. Then came 2008, the Beijing Olympics, when foreign media were watching China more closely. Under that spotlight, Fang was finally allowed to leave. He went to the United States for new prosthetic limbs and later received political asylum. Today, Fang Zheng lives in the United States and continues to speak about Tiananmen. He has served as president of the Chinese Democracy Education Foundation and has appeared at June 4th anniversary events. So no, the party did not erase him. It forced him out and turned him into a witness abroad.
Some people argue this was all the old China, ugly, brutal, but supposedly over. Today's China claims it has its own form of democracy. How do you see this?
No. What it has is a more polished system for burying the same truth. It eventually went after Hong Kong too. For years, Hong Kong kept the memory alive. Every June 4th, people gathered in Victoria Park with candles. That mattered because Hong Kong was under Chinese sovereignty. But it still had space to remember what mainland China was forced to forget. The annual vigil was banned in 2020. After the national security law, the space for public remembrance shrank sharply. Organizers were arrested or prosecuted. Groups dissolved. Memorials disappeared. In 2026, even symbolic acts of remembrance in Hong Kong could trigger police intervention.
The government is afraid of memory.
Yes, because memory creates continuity. It tells the next generation, this happened, these people existed, and the state lied about them. The Chinese Communist Party cannot tolerate a memory it does not own. That is why June 4th is not merely censored. It is treated as a rival authority.
And anyone who insists on calling it a massacre, not turmoil, gets punished.
Liu Xiaobo is the clearest long-term example. He was involved in the 1989 protests, went on hunger strike, and later continued calling for human rights and political reform. In 2008, he helped write Charter 08, a manifesto calling for constitutional democracy, human rights, and basic political reform. And for that, he was treated like a criminal. He was convicted of inciting subversion of state power and sentenced to 11 years in prison. In 2010, he won the Nobel Peace Prize while imprisoned. In 2017, he died after being diagnosed with liver cancer while still in custody.
So asking for constitutional rights became subversion. The party writes rights into the Constitution, then treats people who ask for those rights as criminals.
That is the continuity from June 4th. The crackdown did not end with the square. The Communist Party does not simply hope people forget Tiananmen. It built machinery to make forgetting compulsory. Blocked searches, banned vigils, surveillance of families, punishment of activists, rewriting of textbooks, and the official language of turmoil instead of massacre. And that choice of words is political. If it was turmoil, the party restored order. If it was a massacre, the party owes the dead an answer.
This is why the party still has to censor June 4th, because the basic question is too easy to understand.
Yes? Why did the state shoot its own citizens? Who gave the order? Why were the families watched instead of heard? Why does the government still fear a date? Censorship is not a side detail. It is the confession. A confident government opens archives. A guilty government deletes search results. A confident government publishes the names of the dead. A guilty government tells the country to move on before it even tells the truth.
If people remember the cyclist saying, "It's my duty," the 17-year-old boy who worried about the students, the victims' parents, Fang Zheng, Tank Man, Liu Xiaobo, then June 4th stops being a forbidden date. It becomes a mirror.
It shows that the party's greatest fear was never foreign invasion. It was Chinese citizens asking for accountability and realizing the party was never as clean, wise, or legitimate as it claimed.